Eh, they could go a lot longer. They're not really ready, but I'm done. I'm pulling these onions out. Yep, time to stick them in the shed and dry them. Got all those to get. And then I've got some more on the other side of the tomatoes over there. So let's get these out and get these in the rack. So for right now, I'm just using my chicken brooder shed because it's empty. I got my onion drying rack here. Once I get the bottom one on, I'll put a top shelf on, hang those. So, onions are, for those that don't know, they're biennials, whatever. It takes 2 years to fully grow their normal state. If you start from a seed, the very first year you grow the onion, the bulb. If you were to leave this in the ground as a bulb, this will go dormant. This will basically pinch off the stem. The next year, this will pick back up and grow out again. It won't get much bigger, but the second year is when it grows the flower, and it will grow a main stem out, grows the flower. And the flower, once it's pollinated, will have probably, depending on the variety, anywhere from a couple hundred seeds or so. And then you start over. Well, a lot of people get a little confused because they'll start growing onion sets. Well, an onion set is basically an onion seed that has been started, allowed to grow to a bulb, pulled out of the ground so it'll stop growing, and then put into bags, basically like dormanted, put into bags to sell as an onion set. The problem people don't know is they might think, oh, it's the easy way to go because the onion's already started. Well, the problem is that now the onion thinks it's in the second year of growth, and that second year doesn't grow a very big bulb, but it's the year that it wants to flower. So they get more flowering onions than they do growing onions instead of these. You're not going to get a lot of these on an onion set. You may have the rare one or two, but these are all from seed. I started these indoors 2 months before the last frost. They love water. They love fertilizer. Let me go to the next bed. So anyway, they love water and they love fertilizer. You cannot give them too much of each. There's a couple tricks to growing good onions. Anytime, like this leaf here is bent, anytime you see a bent leaf, you should just cut that off right there. Once it's bent, it damages all the cells and it's not going to grow, which is why it's turning brown here. That should get cut off, put more of the energy into the rest of the plant. When you go to transplant them outside, don't transplant them any deeper than what you started them inside in the pots. Because what happens is, like you see, these are basically right on top of the ground. There's no compaction there, so these onions can get really, really big. There's no stress, and all the roots are right there. That's all they need is about this much dirt. That much can stick out. And that's all they do. That's this big onion, that's all the roots are. Fertilizer, fertilizer, fertilizer. When I do my beds, I amend with fresh compost that I make here. And through the growing season, I got a sprinkler set up. But through the growing season, I'll come through with chicken manure, chicken bedding, or whatever. It's got a lot of nitrogen in it. And the nitrogen will promote leaf growth. But eventually you need a balanced fertilizer to sustain the rest, like a 10-10-10 or something. But you fertilize these things every couple of weeks, they'll love it. I'm gonna go empty this one. I got another half a barrel here, half a basket of onions left. All the onions are done. So I got a bunch of them hiding in here. So this is the Brussels sprouts. I got to trim a bunch of leaves off of these. But so anyway, when you're growing these onions, if you happen to grow them too deep, it's no big deal. You can do what they call as a spooning method. And it's just, they just did that because back in the day they would take a spoon and they'd carefully dig out the dirt around and just expose the bulb of the onion down to about this much still left in the dirt, and the rest of it be sitting up top. Like I said, the less compaction you have, the bigger the bulbs are going to be. The size of that thing. It's a red burgundy onion. But again, all these leaves, see how they're brown? Those I should have trimmed off right when they broke so that it could put all the energy into this new growth, which would have actually made this bigger. I just didn't keep up with it. I did what I could, but could have done a lot more. But it's a decent sized onion. We go get the rest of these things out. Little one. All right, last one. Not a bad haul this year. I wasn't really growing any white onions, to be honest, but a couple of those seeds must have blown in when I was harvesting seeds. So what I do is sometimes I'll leave a couple of onions in to go to second year and save my own seeds. And I think that's what I did last time. Was I must have had the red onions and the white onions together when I was flaking out all the seeds and pinching them off, and some must have blew into their container, which is why I had some white ones in those in this year's. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get these drying. Once they're dry, I can cut the necks off. They're hardened off, and then probably cut them up, chop them up, freeze them, and then put them in the freeze dryer and dry them out, so that way they'll store for 20-25 years. I can just put them in soups when I want, and I don't have to worry about refrigerating or freezing and power outages, none of that. So all right, I'm gonna go lay these out because I don't have that top rack out here, so I'll put these on the floor, put the top rack in tomorrow. I got some more harvesting to do out here, a couple of things, so I was trying to get it done today. But yeah, onion harvest, gotta love it. All right, so here's the harvest. It's pretty much all of them, what ones I put in there, and all the rest of them I got to put next rack on, and I got to finish that one up. But one more thing I meant to say was, when you plant these things outside, you can plant them 6 inches apart in 6-inch rows. So basically every square 6 inches you plant the onions. The leaves will eventually drown out any light, for the most part, that any other weeds will compete. But if you let the weeds invade, they'll steal the nutrients from the plants. So yeah, you can go a little bit closer than 6 inches, but like I said, if you look at the size of these things, it's a pretty big onion. You know, wouldn't want them too close together, but yeah, pretty good harvest this year. All right, on to the next one.